Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy DREDAT. Welcome back to the Star Slider channel. Black at your ass again. Right now, I got an update on some new technology. Well, it's not really new, but I mean, it's crazy and it's amazing. So, I mean, how would you feel about linking your physical brain with a computer link through electricity surges through a chip implanted in your skull? What you think about that? Who down for that? You know, that's where we going now. You know what I'm saying? This is the future. Everything we done seen in movies in the past, whatnot, hey, it's coming. You feel me? So, I got a couple videos here to show you guys. We're gonna talk about this and see what's really going on with this, man. This shit crazy. Here we go.
You know, Monkey has been able to control the computer with his brain.
And we have Elon Musk right here.
Yeah.
We already know he's ready for the future.
Neurons connect together and form a network that can talk to each other through synapses. They're the connection points between neurons, and they communicate
It's amazing how
signals known as neurotransmitters.
Our brains have
all
billions of these.
Everything you experience in life, it's all just neurons firing electrical signals, or otherwise known as action potentials. When neuron spikes occur, these neurotransmitters are released. Information is then relayed across its synapses and eventually reaches another neuron. Now multiply this process by 100 billion and that's your brain in a nutshell. Electrodes are the way that Neuralink and other medical practices study your brain activity. By placing these electrodes close to neurons,
trial and error
potentials that create electric fields inside your brain
had to
can be
take place for these
and
people
transferred to a machine that records and measures the data.
to really know
Neuralink
about the
plans to
brain
use
in
this to its
detail
advantage.
like this, like
Your
the
brain has two main
microscopes that
systems,
get
your limbic
that
system and your cortex.
microscopic
These two are in a relationship
look
with each other.
into
Your
brain
limbic system
tissue
is
like that.
responsible
That's
for your
crazy.
basic emotions, your survival instinct. Your cortex is responsible for your problem-solving skills, your critical thinking. It's where your consciousness exists. Neuralink is aiming to create a third layer to this. The implants would be a third wheel in this relationship, but would increase our capabilities by multiple orders of magnitude. They plan to increase the number of neurons that you can access regularly, that you can use to remember things or regain access to certain parts of your brain that may no longer be active. This is extremely useful for medical patients, some of which who had absolutely zero options up until Neuralink became a reality. The goal is to make this one of the most simple procedures there is, similar to people getting LASIK to improve their vision.
Wow.
But
And everybody
why
get
would we need
LASIK
this
now
in the
these
first place?
days. Shit, my
Well,
mama got
in most
LASIK.
cases, it's a bandwidth issue. Now many people hear this but don't exactly understand what that means. It's a speed problem, it's an energy problem. It's how fast you can get information into or out of your brain. If you have something that you want to write down on a computer, you have to type it with your hands, or speak it into a microphone. That's probably going to mess it up.
Nah, they taking that
If you
out.
want to learn something, it could take days,
You
weeks,
talk
months, or
directly
even
to the
years
computer
fully
now.
grasp.
The computer talk
If we were able
directly
to solve this bandwidth
to
issue,
you.
we could accomplish exponentially more in less time with much less
There
physical
we go, the
effort.
cloud.
Neuralink cuts out the middleman.
I don't know if
allowing input
anybody
and
out
output
there
directly
familiar
from
with
your
Black
brain to
Mirror,
whatever you're
but
doing on a machine, or vice
you know
versa.
where I'm going with
It's
this.
like going from writing using a quill, to having a pencil, to having a keyboard, to having Siri, to now potentially
Siri.
having nothing but the power of your own brain. This is where brain-machine interfaces come in, and they change everything. A brain-machine interface, or
Brain
BMI,
machine
is composed of two
interface,
things,
a
a
BMI.
brain and a machine.
I'm about one
A
of them
machine
from
can be
Walmart.
anything. A phone, a computer, a bionic arm. Anything that provides you with sensory inputs from the outside world or an external source. These inputs are then returned back into your brain, where you can process them. But you need something artificial in your head to return this data to. Now don't worry, it's not like putting a CPU
Oh,
inside
there
your
go the chip.
It's actually quite
That
tiny.
shit fat.
Each Neuralink N1 chip is roughly 4x4 millimeters with 1,000 electrodes each.
That
It's
sounds
possible to fit
small.
up to 10 of these inside your head in different areas, all to measure and affect different parts of your brain. But companies and neurosurgeons alike can't just go around throwing anything they want into someone's head. It's usually a lengthy process to getting these things approved by the FDA for medical purposes.
Yeah,
and
unless you
later
got
on
that
public
money. You
use.
know you got that money, you
BMIs
get 3 of them
contain the potential to
things.
help
One in
people
the
with
ass, one in your
wide-ranging medical
elbows.
disorders. Using just 256 electrodes, or about 2.5% the number of electrodes Neuralink eventually plans to use, human patients have been able to control computer cursors, robotic limbs, and speech synthesizers.
Hell no.
The full potential with nearly 40 times that amount of electrodes is hard to imagine. Currently, The best FDA-approved BMI is used for Parkinson's patients, and it only has 10 electrodes. For Neuralink, this is just the beginning, and it's already 1,000 times better than what is currently approved. In version 1. Each electrode is inserted into your head via tiny threads that are roughly 5 micrometers thick. They're around 10 times smaller than a human hair and contain 32 electrodes.
Smaller than human hair?
It's roughly the same size as a neuron, which is a good idea. There's a size limit for things that you want to stick in your head. Something too large is inevitably going to cause problems, so the smaller, the better. Neuralink actually made a robot that is used to insert these with extreme precision, which is pretty much mandatory. Humans couldn't do it if they wanted. This is a penny.
Did he just
It's
say the
pretty small,
machine
right?
do the surgery?
It's roughly the same size as the tip of my thumb. Now, zooming in extremely close, this right here is the needle that will be inserted into your skull. Placing it beside a penny, you actually couldn't see it.
Oh, man.
As the robot inserts each thread one by
Look
one,
at this shit. It's
at
like
the
it's
end,
sewing in
there
your
could eventually be up
skull.
to 10,000 of these electrodes inside your head, each responsible for recording separate neurons which can later on be analyzed. But not only can they read data from your brain, they can also input data as well. It's a two-way street. It's sort of like being able to upload and download things from your brain. Brain implants aren't exactly new either.
You're gonna be able to download
They go as
Flappy
far back as
Birds in
the
a minute
1950s.
just by thinking about
Brain
it.
implants are a good example.
Get that new Mortal
Neuralink just plans
Kombat.
to take the baton and continue down the path, but in a different way. Other BMIs approach the situation differently. For deep brain stimulation, the kind of implants that were used to assist Parkinson's patients that I mentioned before, they essentially used larger stiff needles that were pretty much just shoved into the brain to affect neural activity, just as the electrodes from Neuralink will. It works well, but there's a pretty high probability that complications will occur over time. Seizures, strokes, and even more. It may fix one issue, but it's probable that multiple other issues will show up. See, your brain doesn't sit still inside your head, it moves around with you. Even if you think you're sitting still, your brain moves with each breath, each heartbeat. This is what can cause issues, and is why a robot is needed for Neuralink's procedure to be successful. Neuralink is taking a different approach, and it really isn't even a huge surgery. Your head isn't going to be completely peeled open for these chips to be inserted.
What you gotta do?
Each chip will be inserted into your head through a small incision of 8 millimeters at most, so less than a centimeter. You won't need stitches, you won't need any of that.
What?
It's hardly a surgery at all.
Huh?
By the way,
This
those
can't be
chips
no
that are inserted
outpatient
are
shit
completely
now.
wireless, as you would probably hope. The craziest thing of all is that you won't need to go to a hospital or random place to hook yourself up to use this interface. There's no USB port sticking out of your head, you won't need a caretaker or anyone to help you. With the use of a single wireless battery-powered computer behind your ear, it will actually be able to connect you to your smartphone,
A computer
effectively
behind
making
your
your phone an
ear.
official part of you. The options and
Hell
potentials for this
no.
technology is limitless, and it's only going to improve over time.
Connect it to your
Now, I don't want to
smartphone.
overreach here and throw out ideas that are impossible, so
A
I won't.
human
But I will
Samsung
give some
around
solid
this bitch.
uses and some pretty cool ideas for Neuralink that can actually become a reality one day. This is my computer. Ironside sent it to me a couple months back, and it is great for everything I need to do.
Damn, that shit look
It
like
has
they
a
do
2080
everything.
Ti graphics card, an i9 processor, and 64 gigabytes of RAM. I can edit much faster and more efficiently than I was able to before. I can play pretty much any game on ultra settings.
Okay.
But in order to do these things, I need to use my hands. Well, duh. I need to use a mouse and a keyboard to get things done in the way I want,
For sure.
or move my character in games. But Neuralink may be able to change this. If a patient is able to control an arm with his or her mind, then it's not unfeasible to believe that, one day, you may be able to control characters in video games
There
with
it
your
is.
brain as well. Considering it's all Bluetooth,
Play the Xbox
all
with your
wireless,
mind.
it's not too much of a stretch to ask. This, coupled with advancements in virtual reality, will cause video games, and potentially even films, to become almost fully immersive. Let's take an example of where Neuralink technology could be used in a pretty cool yet practical way. Let's say you're about to take a month-long trip to Tokyo.
Okay.
You're
Tokyo.
American, as most Americans. Most of us only speak one language. We'll have no clue how to get around any city that doesn't have street signs or directions completely in English.
Okay.
But luckily, Neuralink can help us out here. Imagine there's a Tokyo local who's lived there his entire life. Looking at the action potentials of that particular person, studying their neuron spikes in a region of their brain called the hippocampus, and in which order they occur,
Okay.
you can trace out a path throughout the entire city from when these neurons spike. And once this data is input into your brain, You'll be able to traverse the city like you've lived there your entire
Hell
life.
no.
Telepathy is no longer unrealistic. The
Telepathy.
electrode implants that detect neural signals wirelessly transmit their data back to the
So you
small
ain't got to
computer
worry
within
about
the
not
brain.
knowing the language.
So, the
You
idea
can
of
just
transferring data
program
back
it.
and forth between
How
these
many
devices
movies we
is
done seen with
relatively
that?
simple to imagine.
What, The
And
Matrix?
because the electrodes can both read and write data, you
Johnny
can
Mnemonic,
theoretically
I
communicate
believe.
back and forth between
That shit
people
was
who
on
also
last night,
have
matter of
Neuralink
fact.
implants. Now at the moment, the technology isn't exactly close to making this happen. Maybe
Oh,
a
it's
word or
coming.
two. But in
Matter of
theory,
fact, this here
with
is
enough
just what we know.
improvements,
You know what
it
I'm
is
saying?
possible for high bandwidth communication between two people using nothing but their minds. It may be an aggressive approach, as Elon tends to take, but you can see Neuralink implants in human patients by
There
the
you
end of
go.
this year.
We're going to talk more about him
Once
in a
that
little
happens,
bit.
it's only up from there. Improvements will slowly be added,
Because they get
and I
deeper
can
than
honestly
this.
see this becoming a big and common practice within the next couple of decades. You always hear that there's new technology coming out that will change our lives, but I'm serious when I say this. If this is taken seriously and can work in the ways we're studying and planning on at the moment, I see this as an invention that is on the scale of the internet. It will change the
Hell
world the way
yeah.
airplanes impacted travel,
It's gonna be the
way
new internet.
antibiotics impacted medicine. Computers and the
consciousness.
internet threw us into a brand new digital age. Phones and computers have become extensions of human beings. They can answer almost
Which
any
they
question
already
you can
are.
ask at a moment's notice. They've both been pivotal in connecting the entire planet. BMIs like the one Neuralink are creating are going to have a similar and honestly even larger effect than that. As time goes on, as we enter a new decade, technology that we've passed off as unrealistic becomes more and more plausible. Things that we've written off as impossible end up being the same things that push society forward. Airplanes, rockets, medicine, all things that used to be seen as wizardry or some voodoo magic, are now things that we use every single day.
True.
As Neuralink progresses and gets better and better,
True.
This
A lot
cultural
of
impact will
everyday
go larger and
items we
larger.
use to cure
kids being
ourselves
born today will grow up in a world
was once
vastly different from
sorcery.
the one we're living in today.
once
The
upon
same
a
way that we're
time.
living through a time vastly different than the previous
But
generations.
we evolved.
We will make mistakes along the way. The past shows that pretty well. However, humans overcome, we adapt, and we move forward.
Exactly.
If you think we're living in the
Adapt,
peak of the digital
procreate,
age,
And keep
you
it
have
moving.
no idea what's just around the corner.
So that was a little video
This
about
video was sponsored by the Great Courses Plus. Whether you want to
pretty
understand
much
the biology of your own body,
your black
or learn
ass
the program,
or your
Great
ass
Courses
becoming
Plus has something for everyone.
a computer,
For
or
this
at least
video,
half
I
a
actually
computer.
went through their course on the
The
brain
technology
to gain a
is
solid
here,
grasp on how humans learn
as you can
and
see.
memory functions.
And
And I actually
if
ended up
they
forming
showing
the
us
groundwork of
this,
this video.
you can imagine what they
The Great
already
Courses
got
Plus
behind
is an
closed
on-demand
doors
video
in
learning
this
service
lab.
that brings you the
and what they
highest
got
quality
going
content
on.
from
You
some
know
of
what
the
I'm
smartest
saying?
people on the
I
planet.
can say the same
They're the best
for
place to go to
hell,
learn
even
about pretty much
cloning.
anything you want.
You know,
They offer insightful
But-
topics in extreme detail that you won't find
yeah, at
anywhere on
least you know
YouTube.
it's a good
If
window
you
on
enjoyed
what's
this
to come.
video, I highly recommend
know,
you check out
it's
any of their
knocking at
courses
the
involving
door.
the brain or memory.
We already here.
I learned a lot about it, and
You
we'll
know?
probably end up making a follow-up video.
So I got another video here to show you guys, right? This one here is of your boy, Mr. Elon Musk. See, on this one, he goes into detail about how he would be using this technology more physically. You know, so he's gonna give you more information on what's gonna be taking place.
That it's likely that we will merge
So this is Joe
one or
Rogan.
another with this
He's on the
sort of
Joe Rogan
technology,
podcast
and it will
show,
augment what we are now, or do you think it will replace us?
and they're talking about the chip that he wants to put in.
Well, that's the scenario. The merge scenario with AI is the one that seems like probably the best.
Rich guy,
For
rich.
us.
You don't
Yes.
never see him
Like if you
doing
can't
extravagant things,
beat it,
dressing
right.
flashy.
That's
Just real chill, cool guy.
Yeah.
Even hit the joint on TV.
So, from a long-term existential standpoint, that's like the purpose of Neuralink, is to create a high bandwidth interface to the brain such that we can be symbiotic with AI.
Wow, interface with your brain.
Because we have a bandwidth problem.
Neuralink.
You just can't communicate through your fingers, it's too slow.
And where's Neuralink at right now?
I think we'll have something interesting to announce in a few
In a
months.
few months, people,
That's at least an order of
City
magnitude.
days.
Else. probably, I think, better than probably anyone thinks is possible.
How much can you talk about that right now?
I don't want to jump the gun on
What
that.
it is, a battery charge.
But what's like the ultimate? What's the idea behind it? Like, what are you trying to accomplish with it? What would you like? Best case scenario.
I think best case scenario, we effectively merge with AI, where AI serves as a tertiary cognition layer, where we've got the limbic system, kind of the primitive brain essentially. We've got the cortex. So you're currently in a symbiotic relationship with your cortex and limbic system.
Like, we know what the hell he's talking about.
And generally people like their cortex and they like their limbic system. I haven't met anyone who wants to delete their limbic system or delete
I
their
want my cortex.
Everybody seems to like both. And the cortex is mostly in service to the limbic system. People may think that the thinking part of themselves is in charge, but it's mostly their limbic system that's in charge. And the cortex is trying to make the limbic system happy. That's what most of that computing power is oriented towards. How can I make the limbic system happy? That's what it's trying to do. Now, if we do have a third layer, which is the AI extension of yourself, that is also symbiotic. And there's enough bandwidth between the cortex and the AI extension of yourself such that the AI doesn't de facto separate, then that could be a good outcome. That could be quite a positive outcome for the future.
So instead of replacing us, it will radically change our capabilities.
Yes, it will enable anyone who wants to have superhuman cognition.
So it's not going to replace us.
Anyone who wants. This is not a matter of earning power, because your earning power would be
Just help us.
vastly greater after you do it. So
Help
it's
our
just like
now ability
anyone who wants
stronger.
can just do it.
Like RoboCop or some
In
shit.
theory, that's the theory.
I don't know. Sounds
And if that's the
like a
case,
dangerous
then,
game.
and let's say billions of people do it, then the outcome for humanity will be the sum of human will, the sum of billions of people's desire.
All that shit on that table.
And
but
that
billions of people with enhanced cognitive ability, radically
Yes.
enhanced.
Yes.
And which would be, how much different than people today? Like if you had to explain it to a person who didn't really understand what you were saying, how much different are you talking about?
Yeah, how
You
much
say
different? How
radically
much
improve it, what do you mean?
superpowers? Can I fly?
You mean mind reading?
It would be
Do you mean-
difficult. It would be difficult to really appreciate the difference. It's kind of like, how much smarter are you with a phone or computer than without? You're vastly smarter, actually. You can answer any question if you connect to the internet. You can answer any question pretty much instantly. Any calculation, your phone's memory is essentially perfect. You can remember flawlessly. Your phone can remember videos, pictures, everything perfectly. That your phone is already an extension of you.
Yeah, we
You're
said that
a
already.
cyborg.
We know that already.
Well, most people don't realize they are already a cyborg. That phone is an extension of yourself. It's just that the data rate, the rate at which, of the communication rate between you and the cybernetic extension of yourself, that is your phone and computer, is slow. It's very slow. And that is like a tiny straw of information flow between your biological self and your digital self. And we need to make that tiny straw like a giant river. Huge, high bandwidth interface. It's an interface problem. Data rate problem. Solve the data rate problem.
Gonna be a walking flash drive around this bitch.
I think we can hang on to human-machine symbiosis through the long term. And then people may decide that they want to retain their biological self or not. I think they'll probably choose to retain their biological self.
versus some sort of Ray Kurzweil scenario where they download themselves into a computer?
You will be essentially snapshotted into a computer at any
Hell
time. If
no.
your biological self dies, you could probably just upload into a new unit.
Wow.
Literally.
That shit.
Pass that whiskey. We're getting crazy over here. This is getting ridiculous.
That's crazy.
Down the
That's
rabbit hole.
crazy.
Grab that sucker.
That's crazy.
Give me some of that.
Wow.
This
Well,
is
you
so
heard him yourself, guys.
See, if
I've
I
been
was
thinking
just,
It
about
ain't
this for a
common
long
this
time, by
here.
the way.
I believe you have.
You feel
If
me?
I was talking to one of
But
my
it ain't like
Cheers.
it ain't like
That's a
the
good whiskey.
everyday average Joe can get, access to this technology off willy-nilly or whatnot. I'm pretty sure it's the rich and the powerful that can get their first hands on, trial basis with this technology. Of course, if it's coming from Elon Musk, you know how rich he is, so I'm pretty sure you got to be at the top of the tier to even dilly-dally with this, with this technology. But over time, as you can see, technology doubles quicker, faster. So, I mean, within a decade, it'll probably done trickle down to the normal everyday person. Well, I mean, not the normal everyday person, but at least the middle class person, everyday work 9 to 5 could afford this technology, because it probably would have been done replicated by then and engineered, reverse engineered, and you can get it for the low. You know what I'm saying? Probably go to Walmart, aisle 8, pick you up a chip in the face. You know what I'm saying? Snap that bitch to your head or whatever. 5 gigs. Download games straight to your body. You know what I'm saying? It just might be like that in the future, which is crazy, But like I say, amazing shit, man. Amazing shit. I appreciate you guys spending your time with me right now. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Saturday. I'm in the Dade County. You already know. It's your boy DREDAT. Like, subscribe, and y'all be safe. Yeah.